Chapter 1 A Royal Downfall. The galaxy of Andromeda was a tapestry of civilizations, each woven with unique cultures, histories, and destinies. Among them, the planet Valoria stood out, a gem of prosperity and wisdom under the rule of the benevolent Valorian Empire. The empire was known for its peaceful existence and technological advancements, a stark contrast to the turbulent histories of many other civilizations. Princess Lyra, the youngest daughter of Emperor Kale and Empress Thalia, was a beacon of hope and beauty in Valoria. With her emerald eyes and silver hair, she was adored by her people and revered for her intelligence and kindness. However, her life was about to take a dramatic turn. On a seemingly ordinary day, Valoria was ambushed by the ruthless Zarnok, a warlike race bent on conquest and domination. Their attack was swift and brutal, leaving the Valorian Empire in ruins. Emperor Kale and Empress Thalia were slain, their palace reduced to rubble. In the chaos, Princess Lyra was captured and taken aboard the Zarnok mothership. General Kraxus, the Zarnok leader, saw Lyra as nothing more than a pawn. He paraded her as a trophy, intending to break her spirit and force the Valorians into submission. But Lyra, despite her dire circumstances, maintained her dignity and resolve. She endured the harsh treatment and humiliation with a quiet strength that baffled her captors. Meanwhile, on a remote outpost in the fringes of Andromeda, a human ex-soldier named Jack Dog Carson was eking out a living as a scavenger. Dog, as he was known, was a grizzled veteran with a storied past. Once a part of Earth's elite space forces, he had seen his fair share of battles and betrayals. His nickname Dog came from his tenacity and loyalty, traits that had both saved and cursed him throughout his career. Dog had turned his back on the military after a particularly harrowing mission left him disillusioned with the endless cycle of violence. Now he roamed the galaxy, scavenging for parts and living off the grid. His only companion was an old modified AI drone named Rusty, which had a personality as quirky as its owner. One fateful day, Dog stumbled upon a Zarnok outpost in ruins, likely abandoned in haste. As he scavenged through the debris, he discovered a holding cell with a weak signal. Curiosity piqued, he hacked into the system and found Princess Lyra, abandoned and barely alive. Lyra was unconscious, her body frail from neglect and mistreatment. Dog, recognizing her as Valorian royalty from news broadcasts, knew he had stumbled upon something monumental. He carried her to his ship, the Starhound, and nursed her back to health with Rusty's help. As Lyra regained her strength, she and Dog formed an unlikely bond. She was grateful for his kindness, something she hadn't experienced since her capture. Dog, on the other hand, was captivated. Potential allies. They travelled to various planets, each with its own unique challenges. Some, like the peaceful Lyrisians, were hesitant to engage in conflict. Others, like the mercenary guilds of Draconis, were driven by profit and required convincing. Through it all, Dog and Lyra's partnership deepened. They learned to rely on each other's strengths and trust each other's instincts. Their bond, forged in adversity, became a source of inspiration for those they sought to unite. Chapter 3 The Infiltration. With a growing alliance, Dog and Lyra turned their focus to a daring plan to infiltrate the heart of the Zarnok Empire and gather critical intelligence. They knew that without understanding the Zarnok's strategies and weaknesses, their chances of victory were slim. Lyra had learned of a secretive Zarnok research facility, where advanced weaponry and strategic plans were developed. Located on the remote and heavily fortified planet of Kargath, the facility was a linchpin in the Zarnok war machine. If they could infiltrate it and retrieve valuable data, it could tip the scales in their favour. The mission required precise coordination and impeccable timing. They assembled a specialised team from their allies, each member chosen for their unique skills. Among them were Leora, a telepathic Lyrisians, capable of sensing danger and communicating silently. Jax, a former Zarnok engineer who had defected and provided insider knowledge, and Talia, an elite Erindorian commando with unmatched combat abilities. Disguised as Zarnok soldiers and scientists, they made their way to Kargath aboard a captured Zarnok transport ship. The facility's security was formidable, with biometric scans, encrypted codes, and patrols at every corner. However, with Jax's expertise and Leora's telepathic abilities, they managed to navigate through the initial layers of security undetected. Their objective was the central data core, a heavily guarded vault containing the Zarnok's most sensitive information. As they progressed, they encountered numerous obstacles, including patrols and automated defense systems. Talia's combat prowess proved invaluable in neutralizing threats quickly and efficiently. Reaching the data core, they faced their biggest challenge yet, bypassing the advanced security protocols. Jax worked feverishly, his knowledge of Zarnok technology proving crucial. Just as they were on the brink of success, an alarm was triggered. They had been discovered. With time running out, Dog and his team fought off waves of Zarnok soldiers. Lyra, despite being a diplomat by nature, stood her ground, utilizing a combination of defensive technology and sheer determination. In the chaos, Jax managed to extract the data, but their escape route was compromised. Thinking quickly, Dog formulated a new plan. They would use the facility's emergency escape pods to reach the planet's surface and rendezvous with the Starhound. The escape was harrowing, with the team narrowly evading capture. Upon reaching the surface, they signaled the Starhound, which swooped in to extract them under heavy fire. Back on the Starhound, they reviewed the data they had risked so much to obtain. It contained detailed plans of the Zarnok's next moves, including a devastating attack on their newly formed alliance's central command. Armed with this knowledge, they could now anticipate and counter the Zarnok's strategies. Chapter 4. The Final Stand. With the intelligence gathered from Kargath, Dog and Lyra prepared for the ultimate confrontation. The Zarnok were planning a full-scale assault on the Alliance's command center on Erindor. If successful, it would crush their resistance and cement Zarnok domination over the galaxy. Dog, Lyra, and their allies devised a comprehensive defense strategy. They fortified their positions, set traps, and coordinated their forces. Lyra, using her diplomatic skills, rallied the various factions, ensuring unity and purpose. Dog, drawing on his military experience, trained and led the troops, instilling discipline and resolve. The battle for Erindor was fierce and unrelenting. The Zarnok, led by General Kraxus himself, launched wave after wave of attacks. The Alliance, though outnumbered, fought with unmatched determination and cohesion. Dog and Lyra, at the forefront, inspired their forces with their bravery and leadership. In the midst of the battle, Lyra faced a personal confrontation with Kraxus. The Zarnok general, recognizing her, sought to capture or kill her as a symbol of his victory. Lyra, however, stood her ground, using a combination of her intelligence and newly acquired combat skills to hold him off. Dog, sensing her peril, fought his way through the chaos to reach her. Together, they confronted Kraxus. The battle was intense, with Kraxus's superior strength pitted against their combined resolve. Using the knowledge gained from their infiltration, they exploited his weaknesses, ultimately defeating him in a climactic showdown. With Kraxus defeated and the Zarnok forces in disarray, the tide of the battle turned. The Alliance, seizing the opportunity, launched a counter-offensive that shattered the Zarnok's will to fight. Victory was theirs, hard fought and well earned. In the aftermath, the galaxy began to heal. The Zarnok threat was neutralized, and the Alliance solidified into a coalition dedicated to peace and cooperation. Dog, once a lone scavenger, found a renewed sense of purpose and belonging. Lyra, having endured so much, emerged as a leader and symbol of hope for her people. Their journey, filled with peril and triumph, had forged a bond that transcended their differences. Together, they looked to the stars, knowing that their story was just one of many in the vast tapestry of the galaxy. But it was a story that would be remembered, a tale of courage, resilience, and the enduring power of unity.